Have you ever heard of the woman called the Mother of Africa by Pope Pius XI? Today, we share the inspiring story of Blessed Mary Theresa Ledóchowska, a noble woman who gave up her life of privilege to become a missionary to Africa. Without ever leaving Europe, Mary Theresa Ledóchowska was born on April 29, 1863, in Ledóchowska, Austria, into a noble Polish family with deep faith and strong Catholic values. Her family was distinguished, her uncle was a cardinal, and her siblings would later become saints and founders themselves, including Saint Ursula Ledóchowska. As a young woman, Mary Theresa entered the court of the Grand Duchess of Tuscany in Salzburg, where she served as a lady-in-waiting. Surrounded by the elegance of imperial life, she was cultured, refined, and admired. But her heart longed for something more. Her transformation came when she encountered the brutal realities of the African slave trade through missionaries returning from the continent. The suffering of enslaved Africans shook her to the core. Inspired by the writings and example of Cardinal Charles Lavigere, the anti-slavery crusader, she felt a divine call, to be a voice for the voiceless. She began to write and publish articles about the African missions, becoming known as the Catholic journalist for the missions. In 1894, she launched her own missionary magazine, Echo from Africa, which would be printed in multiple languages and distributed worldwide to raise awareness and support for the African Church. Recognizing the growing needs of her mission, she founded the Sodality of St. Peter Claver for the African Missions in 1894, later known as the Missionary Sisters of St. Peter Claver. Inspired by the saint who dedicated his life to African slaves in South America, her sisters would support missions, raise funds, and publish religious literature in African languages. Though she never went to Africa herself, her work reached countless communities. She helped build churches, schools, and communities through education, prayer, and spiritual solidarity. Blessed Mary Theresa died on July 6, 1922, in Rome. But her mission lives on. Today, the Missionary Sisters of St. Peter Claver serve across continents, supporting missions, publishing literature, and praying for the evangelization of the world. In 1975, Pope Paul VI declared her blessed, recognizing her heroic virtue and missionary zeal, from the court of royalty to the heart of mission fields. Blessed Mary Theresa Ledóchowska shows us that the call to mission begins not on the road, but in the soul. If her story touched your heart, please subscribe to Saint Stories. And help us bring more forgotten heroes of the faith to light. May God bless you. In an age marked by tension between the church and powerful kingdoms, one man rose from humble roots to wear the tiara of Peter, not with ambition, but with humility and peace. This is the story of Blessed Benedict XI, a Dominican friar who became pope and tried to heal the wounds of the church. Only to be silenced too soon. Born as Niccolò Boccassini around 1240 in Treviso, Italy, he was the son of a poor woolcomber. Raised in poverty, Niccolò developed a deep love for learning and a yearning for holiness. At age 14, he joined the Order of Preachers, also known as the Dominicans, a rising order founded by St. Dominic. He was known for his exceptional discipline, intellect, and fidelity to prayer. As a teacher and prior, he quickly rose through the ranks. By 1296, he was elected Master General of the Dominicans, traveling across Europe to strengthen the order during difficult times. Recognized for his wisdom, Pope Boniface VIII appointed Niccolò a cardinal in 1298. As papal legate, he faced trials, most notably in Hungary and France, where politics and church authority clashed. He remained loyal to Boniface VIII even during the infamous conflict with King Philip IV of France, who sought to control the church and reject papal authority. When Boniface was captured and humiliated at Anagni in 1303, a moment that shocked Christendom, Cardinal Boccassini stood by him and gave him refuge. After Boniface's death, Niccolò was elected pope on October 22, 1303, taking the name Benedict XI. He faced a shattered church, political pressure from France, and fear among cardinals. Yet Benedict sought reconciliation without compromise. He lifted the excommunication of King Philip's ministers, but not of the king himself, showing courage and integrity. He also worked to restore peace in Italy, improved the rights of clergy, supported missions, and promoted education, all in less than 8 months as pope. On July 7, 1304, while staying in Perugia, Pope Benedict XI died suddenly. Rumors quickly spread, was he poisoned by agents of the French crown? No proof was ever found, but many suspected foul play. Though his reign was brief, it was marked by justice, mercy, and peacemaking. He refused to be a puppet and bore the weight of the papacy with Dominican humility. Benedict XI was beatified in 1736 by Pope Clement XII. Though never canonized, he is venerated as a model of papal virtue, a man who blended strength and gentleness, loyalty and peace. His tomb remains in San Domenico, Perugia, the city where he passed, and where pilgrims still honor his memory. Blessed Benedict XI reminds us that true leadership lies not in power, but in service. He stood firm in truth, gentle in charity, and unwavering in faith, even when the storms surrounded him. May we learn from his example to be humble in success and faithful in adversity. If this story inspired you, help us bring more lives of heroic faith to light. In an age marked by political turmoil and the rising call for church reform, one humble monk was called from the peace of his monastery to carry the weight of Christendom. Today, we remember Blessed Pope Eugene III, the first Cistercian monk ever elected pope, a man of prayer and humility who struggled to shepherd the church during one of its most turbulent times. Eugene III was born as Bernardo Paganelli di Montemagno in the region of Pisa, Italy, around the year 1080. His early years remain obscure, but what we do know is that he was deeply drawn to the spiritual life. He entered the religious order of Canons Regular of San Frediano in Lucca, but a providential encounter would soon change the course of his life. He met Saint Bernard of Clairvaux, the great reformer and mystic, and was inspired to join the Cistercian order, seeking a life of deeper contemplation and purity. In 1145, after the death of Pope Lucius II, the cardinals, facing a Roman rebellion, elected the humble monk Bernard as pope. He took the name Eugene III. Saint Bernard himself was shocked by the news and even skeptical, writing to Eugene, "Who will grant me that I may see you rather return to the cloister than sit upon the papal throne?" But Eugene accepted, trusting God's will, though he often longed to return to the simplicity of monastic life. His pontificate, from 1145 to 1153, was marked by trials. He faced Roman revolutionaries under Arnold of Brescia, who rejected papal temporal power. For much of his papacy, Eugene lived in exile from Rome, relying on the support of Christian princes. Yet, despite being displaced, Eugene III remained focused on spiritual reform. He strongly supported the Second Crusade, preaching its cause after the fall of Edessa. At the Council of Paris in 1147, he emphasized moral renewal and ecclesiastical discipline. He supported the Cistercian reforms, approved new religious orders, and encouraged the foundation of monastic communities. His deep respect for the life of prayer and monastic discipline helped purify the Church's witness during a time of worldliness and scandal. Despite being pope, Eugene maintained his simplicity and humility. He is often remembered not for grand achievements, but for his integrity, gentleness, and deep spirituality. Blessed Pope Eugene III died on July 8, 1153, in Tivoli, Italy. His cause for sainthood began not long after, and Pope Pius IX beatified him in 1872, recognizing the heroic virtues he lived amid adversity. Though not widely known, his life stands as a testimony that the Church's strength is not in earthly power, but in holy men who follow Christ faithfully. Even from a throne, in the quiet heart of the Cistercian order, a pope was formed. In the storms of rebellion and exile, he remained faithful. Blessed Eugene III, pray for us, that we too may live with courage, humility, and unwavering trust in God. In the early days of Christianity, when the Roman Empire was vast and often hostile to the gospel, a married couple stood as pillars of the faith, Saints Aquila and Priscilla. They were not bishops, martyrs, or miracle workers, but they were powerful witnesses to Christ through hospitality, courage, and deep commitment to the Church. Aquila was a Jewish tentmaker from Pontus, in modern-day Turkey. Alongside his wife Priscilla, also known as Prisca, he lived in Rome, until the Emperor Claudius expelled all Jews from the city around 49 AD, forced to leave their home. Aquila and Priscilla journeyed to Corinth, a thriving Greek city, and there, God had a divine encounter waiting for them. In Corinth, they met Paul the Apostle, who was also a tent maker. They welcomed him not just into their business, but into their home and hearts. From that moment, They became his close friends, fellow workers, and spiritual companions. The Acts of the Apostles tells us, Paul lived with them and worked with them, for they were tent makers by trade, but Aquila and Priscilla were more than helpers. They were evangelists and teachers in their own right. When a gifted preacher named Apollos came to Ephesus, his understanding of Jesus was incomplete. Aquila and Priscilla invited him in and explained to him the way of God more accurately. Their home became a church, a center of the growing Christian community in Ephesus and later in Rome. Paul never forgot their sacrifices. In his letter to the Romans, he wrote, "Greet Priscilla and Aquila, my co-workers in Christ Jesus. They risked their lives for me." Romans 16 verses 3-4, Aquila and Priscilla remained steadfast, even in times of persecution. Their faith did not waver. Tradition holds that they continued their ministry faithfully, opening their home to believers, supporting missionaries, and building up the early church with courage and love. Though we do not know when or how they died, their legacy endures. Saints Aquila and Priscilla remind us that faithful lay people, married couples, workers, friends, can be powerful instruments of God. In every tent they stitched, every word they taught, every soul they welcomed, they were living stones of Christ's church. Feast day, July 8th, patrons of married couples, tent makers, Christian hospitality. If you were inspired by the story of Saints Aquila and Priscilla, consider subscribing. Saint Stories, where we bring to life the holy men and women who helped shape Christian history. Help us reach 1,000 subscribers. Thank you, and God bless you. In the land of ancient dynasties and imperial courts, where tradition and faith often clashed, a band of courageous men, women, and children stood firm in the face of death for the love of Christ. This is the story of Saint Augustine Zhao Rong and his 119 companions, Chinese martyrs who gave their lives for the Catholic faith across centuries of persecution. Christianity first entered China through missionaries like the Jesuits in the 16th century. While some emperors tolerated it, others viewed it as a foreign threat. By the 17th century, waves of persecution erupted. Converts and missionaries alike were imprisoned, tortured, and executed. Among those converts was a remarkable man, Augustine Zhao Rong. Zhao Rong was originally a soldier in the Qin dynasty. In 1815, he was assigned to escort a Catholic bishop, manager John Gabriel de Fres, to his execution. But the bishop's peace and unwavering faith touched him so deeply, that Zhao converted to Christianity. He was baptized and later became a diocesan priest, one of the first native Chinese to be ordained. But not long after, Father Augustine himself was arrested for his faith, tortured, and finally martyred in 1815. Father Augustine Zhao Rong is only one among the 120 martyrs recognized by the Church, 87 of them Chinese laypeople and clergy, and 33 foreign missionaries from the Paris Foreign Mission Society, the Lazarists, Dominicans, Franciscans, and Jesuits. These men and women came from all walks of life: priests, bishops, mothers, children, catechists, even entire families. Take for example Saint Lucy Eugene, a brave and devout young teacher who catechized children despite official bans. Arrested for her activities, she refused to renounce her faith and was beheaded in 1862. Her final words were, "The door of heaven is open to all, why should I fear death?" Even children showed unshakable courage. Saint Paul Chen was only 9 years old when he was tortured and executed. And Saint Anna Wang, a 14-year-old girl, was stabbed to death for refusing to deny Christ. Their sacrifice showed that holiness knows no age. The most intense wave of martyrdom occurred during the Boxer Rebellion in 1900. The anti-Christian uprising targeted thousands. Churches were burned, villages attacked, and believers slaughtered, yet many Chinese Catholics chose death rather than betray their Lord. In the year 2000, Pope St. John Paul II canonized St. Augustine Zhao Rong and his 119 companions. These martyrs are honored together on July 9th, symbolizing their unity in sacrifice. They remind us that the faith is not foreign to any culture, it takes root and flourishes in every heart that loves Christ. Today, the Catholic Church in China continues to grow, watered by the blood of these heroic witnesses. Saint Augustine Zhao Rong and companions challenge us all: would we remain faithful under persecution? Would we love Christ more than comfort? May their prayers strengthen the Church in every land, especially where the gospel is still opposed. If you were inspired by this story, help this small channel grow by liking, sharing, and subscribing. Join us as we tell the stories of the saints who changed the world with their faith. God bless you.